What's up, guys? Rick here with your preview for this week's 3M Open. What an awesome Open Championship we had. It was so entertaining throughout. Congrats to Xander. He was splendid. It was very, very cool. But we must roll on. We must ride to Blaine, Minnesota and continue the grind here. Now, before I jump into that, because of the success that we've had in the Listeners League, this keeps getting bigger, right? So the new guarantee on Splash Sports, which is where we hold the Listener League every week, is $7,000 now. So that's completely guaranteed. It's a tiers-based contest. So you pick one golfer from each of 6 tiers. This is now open to Canada, fully regulated and all that stuff, and legal in everywhere in Canada except Quebec, I believe. And that's nice. That just dropped last week. So this has been going really well. Let's continue to have it go really well. It's already like 25% full, and I haven't even acknowledged the existence of this thing yet. So that's pretty sweet. And then also what they did last week for the Open was they dropped the lowest score out of your 6. I liked that. I might request that moving forward. If you have any objections to that, strong objections to that, let me know. But I thought that worked really well, and I did hear some good feedback. Okay, let's roll over and start rocking out on TPC Twin Cities and the 3M Open. This is my website, RickRunGood.com. Everything you see from my website, everything you see from here on out will be from my website. Back to a TPC course, right? A pure PGA Tour course where we have enough data. I believe this is the 6th year of the 3M Open. If you remember, it was the 3M Open, the Rocket Mortgage Classic. They came into the schedule at the same time. I believe this is year number 6. So the data is getting better each and every year. But what you're not seeing here is a ton of really strongly correlated stats to success. Strokes gained total ranks 13th. That's the best rank of anything that we have here. And all that says is the best players are correlating more to success than any other stat, which they are ranked. So it's not a nothing burger, but it's just worth noting. The other ones that stand out to me, because they're ranked inside the top third of PGA Tour courses, would be driving accuracy, which ranks 16th. There's only 15 other courses in which driving accuracy is more correlated to success, and strokes gained around the green, in which there are only 16 other courses in which strokes gained around the green is more correlated to success. Distance is in the bottom in terms of correlation. Approach play, putting, and approach play and putting are more middle of the road stats. And then off the tee is also a kind of towards the bottom stat, which makes sense because driving distances as well. And that encompasses quite a bit of the calculations for strokes gained off the tee. So what you can also then do is take all that information and put it on top of however many rounds that you want and find which golfers are going to get the best adjusted fit. Now, remember this, while there was an Open Championship last week, there was also the Barracuda. So you will hear me reference that a lot. And it was a strokes gained course. We have all the strokes gained metrics from the Open, and we have all of them from Barracuda last week. So you'll see names like Mac Meisner, who's played well at a variety of PGA Tour events, and then also I think he finished inside the top 5 last week at the Barracuda. He's getting one of the best adjusted fit numbers. SY, no, that's Sung Yul No, gets the best adjusted fit number for this course. Mac Meisner is number 2. Then you get Finau, Pendrith, and Ben Griffin. Pendrith was also in the mix last week. You get Harry Hall right after Mackenzie Hughes. Harry Hall won 2 weeks ago. He won the opposite field event, opposite of the Scottish, which is called the ISCO Championship. So these are guys that are playing well. Tristan Lawrence is on this list. So we have a lot of really interesting names, despite not necessarily having the star power. And you're going to get a little bit of star power, right? You're going to get Tony Finau, and is that it? No, who else are you going to get? You're going to get, Sahith, Sam Burns, Akshay, Billy Horschel, Luke Clanton, Ryder Cup captain Keegan Bradley. So you are going to get a variety of decent players here. Now, what you're seeing is that there is not a huge long drive reward, right? So if you're looking at the average drive on every single hole, which is, I'm using the ShotLink data for this, obviously. If you go longer than that, what do you pick up to the field? It's always an advantage. It's always a reward to hit the ball farther than your peers. However, it's not a huge reward throughout 18 holes here. It's big on number 2. It's big on number 18. And that's about it. You'll actually see the missed fairway penalty. And this is why driving accuracy correlates so well to success. A lot of holes, the penalty that you get for missing the fairway is bigger than the reward that you receive for hitting a long drive. I'll say that again. The reward, sorry, I screwed it up. The penalty that you receive for missing a fairway is worse than the reward that you receive for hitting a long drive. That is true on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 holes. 10, and that's only counting the par 4s and the par 5s, obviously. So there's only like 4 holes in which the opposite is true. So the statistics behind this are continuing to push towards the ability to hit the fairway. If you can do that and be long, great. You're going to get a double bonus there. But it seems as if playing out of the fairway is much more important around TPC Twin Cities than maybe some other courses that we have seen on the PGA Tour as of late. If you want to go through the proximity buckets, these are here for you. If you want to see the putting ranges, these are here for you. There are not a lot of, and this usually adds up, right? When you are coming in from 150 yards or more, basically at tour average or above tour average, you're going to get a lot fewer short birdie opportunities between 4 and 8 feet. That's below tour average. You're going to get fewer from 9 to 15 feet. That's below tour average. So you're starting to see it even out on those longer putting zones for birdies. So what you end up getting are a lot of birdie looks from 16 to 36 feet, right? That range where your golfers are probably going to make 10 to 20% of them. And then you're just going to try to pile up as many of those opportunities as possible and see how many birdies that you can make. So knowing all of that and knowing how often each golfer is going to get to those positions, knowing how they fare when they do get to said positions of golfers who have a big enough sample size to care about, the best putting boost players are Sam Ryder, Keith Mitchell, Sam Burns, Brandt Snedeker, Maverick McNeely, S.H. Kim, Justin Lauer, and Tom Hoge, Harry Hall. Harry Hall's an unbelievable putter. So if he can continue, I mean, we'll spend time on Harry Hall, but he's a Vegas guy. I like Harry. It was really great to see him break through 2 weeks ago. Stoked for him. So yeah, it's sweet. Okay. Let's jump into the cheat sheet and see what we can find. This is a very small $10,000 range. Only 3 golfers at the top. It's Tony Finau at $10,500, Sahith Theegala at $10,300, and Sam Burns at $10,000 even. We have a lot to talk about here. Tony Finau missed the cut at the Open. Sahith missed the cut at the Open. Sam Burns was in like the third to last group. He was T2 on Sunday and finished T31. Wow. Unbelievable. Okay, let's start with Finau. He is the guy who is going to catch a ton of love this week. If you go to the Holy Grail and you look at course horses, so basically everybody in this field, how they fare at TPC Twin Cities or really any other course, you're going to start to see Tony Finau's name a lot. Yeah, so he's played 20 rounds. He's gaining 2.3 strokes per round at this golf course, which is a third of a stroke better than anybody else. And also he has more rounds than those other guys. So if you do, 2.39 is with a minimum of 20 rounds is starting to get into elite course history here, right? It's probably the 15th or so best course history combination for any player in any course. It is better or similar to Dustin Johnson at TPC Southwind. It is right behind Rory McIlroy at Session International Golf Club. That's where they used to hold the WGC China. It's elite. Okay, so just putting that out there. So that's why you're going to hear a lot about Finau this week. He was great in round one at the Open, and then he shot an 80 or an 81 and lost 6.5 strokes to the field on Friday. I am generally, and if you follow this channel a lot, you know I quickly forgive blow ups at major championships. It's so easy to do. You know, if you blow up at Pinehurst, I don't really care. You blow up at the Open, I don't really care. It's a different type of pressure. It's a different type of golf course. There are a lot of ways to get into trouble, especially at an Open Championship in which he was on the wrong side of the draw. He should have been better than this. Don't get me wrong. If he would have lost 4 strokes, I would feel a lot better if he lost 4 strokes to the field and missed the cut, as opposed to losing 6.5 and not really showing much. I mean, he birdied 18 on Friday to shoot like an 80 or an 80. It's just like an absolute FU, right? Just horrible. But this is, I generally forgive these very quickly. And if you start looking at what he's been up to over the course of the entire year, he still picked up strokes with the putter. That is the thing that unlocks the best side of Tony Finau. It would be very difficult, in my opinion, for him to go out and lose 4.2 strokes off the tee at TPC Twin Cities. In fact, he is a crusher at TPC Twin Cities off the tee. In his last 4 starts, he's gained at least a stroke per round, or excuse me, a stroke in total. When he won here in 2022, he gained 5 strokes over the course of the week. So I think we are going to get a very easy kind of come back to the mean for Tony Finau. No problem if you want to run him out. Sahith is a little bit more interesting because what are people going to do with Sahith and Sam Burns? Sahith has missed 3 consecutive cuts at this golf tournament. In fact, I don't know if he's ever made the cut here. He has not. 2020, 2022, and 2023, he has missed the cut. I do not think that is super telling. Sahith is a golfer who really has improved quickly over the course of the past few months and the last few years. I do not hold him to the standard of his previous self as much as I do other golfers. And again, if we're going to forgive the Open for Tony, we got to kind of forgive it for Sahith as well. Now, Sahith's was worse in my opinion because he was bad on both days and he lost throughout the bag. And the fact that he's missed the cut here, maybe this is not a golf course that fits his eye. So I will say, I have a lot more concern for Sahith than I do for Tony Finau, but I still think that if you're, making 10 or 20 or 100 or 1,000 lineups, he needs to be a part of your player pool. You need to have access, exposure to Sahith because I think that he is still one of the best players in this field. We know how strongly strokes gained total correlates to success at this event, and he's having a great year. But that comes with a lot more worry than it does for Tony Finau. Sam Burns, I think, is mind-boggling. I don't really know what to do here. So let's start with his history. He's played here twice. 2019, he finished T7, and 2020, he finished T32. Both are good, but that's 4 years ago and 5 years ago. I'm not putting a lot of emphasis on that. Leading into the Open, he played much better golf. The short game was there. The putter is back. He was still getting decent finishes by losing strokes on approach. He struck it really well at the Open. That Sunday final round, I guess we can just wipe it. In the mix for the first time at the Open, at Royal Troon, you lose 7 strokes. It was really ugly. It was bad. And it was in pretty decent conditions. Those guys around him were scoring. There are no excuses for this. But are people just like he played much better than a T31? And if that's what people see coming in, T55, T31, couple of old course, results, and they just go to Finau and then they go down to Billy Horschel and Luke Clanton and whoever else. If Sam Burns is coming in at a pretty low ownership, which we'll know Wednesday live chat, 3 p.m. Eastern time, RickRunGood YouTube channel. Is it actually 3 p.m. Eastern this week? I think it's going to be. We had to adjust the last couple of weeks because of travel or for TV. No, it should be, 3 p.m. Eastern this week. All good there. The 9K range is really interesting because a lot of these guys, to me, feel similar. They've got some positives. They've got some negatives. They are technically separated by $800. But if you just re-randomize these in any order, I would have probably accepted that. Seriously, I don't think it's that big of a difference between any one of these guys. It starts with Akshay at $9,800. I'm a big believer in Akshay's game. He lost 4.5 strokes on approach at Royal Troon and missed the cut. gained everywhere else or was a zero everywhere else. I think that he gets back to normal. He is much better suited for, at this point in his career, only 22, for like regular PGA Tour stops, right? He's just going to be able to drive it well. He's going to be able to have a ton of birdie opportunities, and he's a very, very good putter. So no problems going here to Akshay. I do worry about Billy Horschel. Billy snaps off, gains 11 strokes ball striking, another 6 in the short game categories at the Open, and was in. This is really hard to do. To go from a very emotional weekend at a major championship where you are in the mix trying to win your first major, then get on a plane and go back 6 hours? What time zone is Minnesota in? Are they in Eastern time? What time zone is Blaine, Minnesota? They might be Central. They are Central. So that is 6 hours back, right? From Scotland. 5 to New York. One more. I think this is very hard to do. I think that if you were betting on letdown weeks, like this was college football, this is a letdown spot. I'm happy to get back on Billy Horschel moving forward, and I would be very impressed if he played well this week. But that it will be a very, very difficult task. What else do we have here? Keith Mitchell, who has probably some of the better course history in this range, back-to-back 5th place finishes, has not been playing up to what we would hope for. He was one of the most expensive players at the Barracuda, and he missed the cut by a mile. He was one of the more popular golfers as well. He missed the cut at the Scottish Open, finished T8 at John Deere, missed the cut at the Rocket Mortgage. There's just a lot of inconsistency here. The majority of the losses, if not all the losses, are coming in the short game categories, which, if you're going to have to get deep under par here, I worry about that. This is not good enough, considering the fact that I think that, again, a lot of these guys in the 9K range are pretty similar. Luke Clanton is here. Luke Clanton finally got a week off, right? He played US Open, played well. Then 2 weeks until the Rocket Mortgage. Then he went 3 in a row, Rocket Mortgage, John Deere, ISCO, played well in all of them. Gets a little bit of a break, gets a little bit of a reset here. I think we hit the top. Like, he was 45% owned, 46% owned at the ISCO Championship at $10,500. That's fairly insane. He was the favorite. That's insane. Okay. Still an amateur. That's insane. This feels like a better spot for him as others have kind of probably moved on. His metrics are nuts. Now he has a much smaller sample size than everybody else. And then I'll wrap this range here with JT Poston. JT Poston probably does have the best course history of anybody in this field. T28, T11, T2 in each of the last 3 years. He putts the lights out at this golf course. He's gained like 14 strokes putting in those 3 trips. This is, I wish he was playing better. It's kind of the Keith Mitchell situation. Keith Mitchell, JT Poston, love their skill sets, but they're in it right now. JT, who usually is not long but accurate, which would be a good setup here, has lost strokes off the tee in 5 straight. The approach play has been a big problem dating back to at least the Masters. The putter has not even been the old reliable that we would normally see. I might have said this recently for JT Poston, so I apologize if I'm saying it again, but look at the differences between, his run last summer, which included the 3M Open, where he was basically, he's going to lose strokes off the tee because he's not very long, but fairway through green, he was one of the best players on tour. That's the Webb Simpson model. That's the JT Poston model. That is nowhere near what we have right now. He's not good out of the fairway. He's not good around the greens. He's struggling with the putter. And, oh, by the way, he still can't figure out the driver. So I think there's a lot of leaks that he has to plug here. I wish it was a better situation, but it's going to be hard to invest in JT Poston at $9,200. Definitely have my eyes on a handful of guys here in the 8K range. Cam Davis, first off, did not play the Open Championship. He did play the Scottish, finished 26th there, which was really nice because that was his first start after his win at the Rocket Mortgage, and he put together almost an identical stat line. The only difference is he flipped the script. After gaining 3.5 strokes putting at the Rocket Mortgage, he lost 3.5 or 3.6 at the Scottish Open. That's a 7-stroke difference, right? So that's the difference between a win and a T26. Now, I am cautious here because he's not a very good putter. At least he has not been in 2024. He historically has been a little bit better than this, but the struggles are still there. Get him back in America on a Midwest golf course. It's bent grass around TPC Twin Cities. I think he fares probably a little bit better. So cautiously optimistic there. If you're looking at course fits, Tom Hoge plays out of the fairway, can hit his irons very well. The putter can heat up, even though it's been a problem. The last, dating back to the PGA Championship or the week after at the Charles Schwab, he's only gained strokes putting twice, and they were very, very small gains. When he loses, he has lost big, including 6.7 at the Open, another stroke at the Scottish Open. You could almost argue this is, Tom Hoge's not a Scottish type golfer, but loses strokes at Colonial, loses strokes at the Memorial. These are problems. So we need a good putting week for Tom Hoge, which he has proven. I mean, there was a stretch from the American Express in 2024 to Harbor Town, which was like, for him, it's like 11 events. He plays everything, where he only lost strokes putting once. So I think it is conceivable that he putts better, but there's no recent form to back that up. Speaking of the American Express, you probably did not notice this. Nick Dunlap won last week. He won the Barracuda Championship. And this is exactly what he's been building towards. We have spent a lot of oxygen on Nick Dunlap this year, and it's well-deserved. He gets the win at the American Express, struggles because he immediately turns pro, and then around Houston, he started to become a professional golfer. And he started to learn, I think, the ebbs and flows of golf tournaments and life on the PGA Tour and all that stuff. And you started seeing a lot better results. T10 at the Rocket Mortgage, wins the Barracuda. He's only $8,400. This is a really good spot for Nick Dunlap. It is. It's a really good spot for him. He's such a talented player. Who else do we have? Maverick McNeely is probably the other one. Emiliano Grillo and McNeely. Grillo is only interesting because of the history here. His history is awesome. T3, missed cut, T2, T10. Outside of that, I don't think there's a lot of recent stuff to get going with. McNeely is in a mini slump right now. So dating back to the Rocket Mortgage, so this is about a 3-tournament mini slump where he has lost strokes on approach. I would hope, I actually know he had like troubles getting out of, I think he had troubles. His flight got delayed. He was part of that like he was in an airport for a long time, but I'm assuming he's been, because he missed the cut at Troon, I'm assuming he's been at TPC Twin Cities for a bit. He is, I think he's probably a top 5 player in this field in terms of just skill set, long-term skill set. I think he's probably a top 5 player in this field, and he's being priced at $8,300 because of this little mini slump, but his 2024 has been very, very good. He can definitely putt well enough to win this. He can definitely hit it better than he's hitting it in the last couple of weeks. He is similar to Tom Hoge, where you have to take a little bit of a leap of faith and disregard the recent stuff and look at some of the longer term items. If you have trouble finding golfers in the 7K range, you have a problem, because there are a lot of decent options here. Guys that you might not have noticed are playing as well as they are. I've been riding this Sam Stevens train for the last couple of months, maybe 2 months or so, and it's been fine, right? He hasn't missed a cut in a while. He's putting together some decent finishes. He finished T10 here last year. That's fine. Luke Clanton and Michael Thorpe Bjornsson get thrown into the same category a lot because they're both amateurs, or actually Thorpe Bjornsson, I think, just turned pro a couple weeks ago. Incredibly talented. And I think Thorpe Bjornsson is just a little bit mispriced because he has not had the immediate success that Luke Clanton has. He's missed a cut. He finished T61 last week at the Barracuda. Okay. Harry Hall just won the ISCO, where he gained 6.7 strokes on approach, and he won it in a playoff. He is one of the best putters that we have on the PGA Tour, and he was building towards this victory. T42 at the Canadian Open, T31 at the Rocket Mortgage, T12 to John Deere, win at the ISCO. There is a risk that because now he's got his card solidified, you can take a little bit of a breather, take a little bit of his foot off the gas. His wife is either about to have their baby or just did have their baby. I don't know the details of that, but like it was I think fairly imminent. So there is a little bit of a risk of like a letdown, right? Just he's a sigh of relief. Who knows what this looks like for Harry, but the stats are there. Mac Meisner popped up on the course key stats page. Talk about guys who are trending in the right direction. T20, T16, 4th. That's John Deere, Isco, Barracuda. He gained across the board in almost all of those. Look at this stat profile. We're talking about 9, 7, and 5 from tee to green. We're talking about 2, 0, 2 with the putter. And this dates back farther. You know, the run that he's had since basically the Texas Open, actually his whole year's been decent. After the first 3 missed cuts of the year, he's figured it out. And 7,600 is much, much too low. Rico Hoey, talk about guys who are catching heaters right now. USC kid who is literally one of the better drivers on planet Earth. If you ever get a chance to see Rico Hoey hit a golf ball, do it. And now the results are rolling in. T6 at Rocket Mortgage, T26 at John Deere, T2 at Isco. He was, I guess he must have been in that playoff. It was a 3-man playoff, so I think he got eliminated first. Don't quote me on that. And then T8 at the Barracuda, where he makes a birdie on the last hole. Let's go. Love that. Leaves you with a good taste in your mouth. He's becoming more consistent, and he already had a huge upside. Tristan Lawrence will pop up, and people will be excited to play him because of that 4th place finish at the Open. I still think this is a very difficult trip back, but I do want to point out he is not a complete nobody, right? I mean, he basically wins once a year on the DP World Tour. His metrics on the DP World Tour, which I have, RickRunGood.com, all the metrics for Live and the DP World Tour and PGA Tour and all that stuff. He has very good, he hits the ball a mile, right? Just very, very good off the tee, very good putter. Patrick Fishburne, I mean, I could go on and on. 15th at the Isco, 3rd at the Barracuda. He's got 4 top 25s in his last 5 starts. These are the guys who are going to contend this week, right? These guys who played the Isco, who played the Barracuda. Neil Shipley finished 6th at the Isco and played the Barracuda to a T40 and gained 8.5 strokes on approach. You could make a whole lineup out of the 7K range. Seriously. I mean, I'm interested to see how the custom model rates these guys out. But there are so many good options here. If you cannot find players that you like, Pearson Cootie finished T2 at the Isco, T5 to Charles Schwab. We haven't seen him in a week. There are so many good options here. If you can't find somebody you like, I don't know what's wrong with you. Here's the 6K range. There is not a 5K range this week, so this is the bottom of the board. And as much as I like the 7K range, this becomes a little bit less appealing. Lots of missed cuts here. A lot of guys that are either at the end of their PGA Tour careers or have not proven to be solid enough pros. Just calling it like it is. So there's not a lot to like in the 6K range here. I think that where is... here. Justin Suh, T11 breaks out of a mini slump at the Barracuda. I think that he could be interesting. He is way more talented than he has been playing like. Sung-Yul No, who we got a good course fit on, finished T6 at the Isco and T24 at the Barracuda. So you're getting 2 top 25s with one of them being a top 10 coming in. Henrik Norlander goes through these stretches of playing well, and he's doing it again right now. 3 top 25s in his last 5. He has a top 25 here in 2020. We're grasping, but that's kind of the status or state of this board here. Richie Wawrinski kind of crushes these types of events. So he's been playing on the Corn Ferry. So T16, miscut at the John Deere, T13, T15. Those are Corn Ferry events, but this is going to be honestly pretty darn close to one of those when you get to the bottom of the board. That's probably as far as I'd like to go as Richie Wawrinski. I'm interested to see what the custom model has to say, so let's run it here. Let's run a model on a couple of items here. So we want, accuracy over distance. So we'll do 25 on accuracy, 10 on distance. We want opportunities and opportunities gained, right? Give yourself a chance to make as many of these putts as possible. So we're going to say opportunities gained for 20. We are then going to do my favorite bonus putting, which it feels like we haven't done bonus putting in a while, for 20. This is, do you make all of your 5-footers? And then also, do you make your putts? Do you get any putts outside of 20 feet? We'll put 10 on Bentgrass as well. So that's 85. Then what we'll do is we'll put the final 15 on history, TPC Twin Cities. We'll see what this pumps out. Oh, crap. Sam Burns is number 1. I did not know what I was going to do with that. Oh, man. Pendrith is 2. Eckroat is 3. Cam Davis, Hayden Buckley, Doug Gim, Tom Hoagie, Ben Griffin, Sam Stevens, Sam Ryder. That is not a top 10 I was expecting to see. Really not expecting to see that. Wow. Where are all my guys? Sahith is 16th. Poston is 13th. I mean, where are all my guys? Finau is 26th because the accuracy doesn't putt well on bent. He also was hemorrhaging strokes with the putter. He's kind of fixed that a little bit. Oh man, a lot of times my thoughts line up with the model, but that is not what has happened here. So what I'll do, I'm going to have to probably build a lot of lineups this week. Some with the model and some with my brain. So here's what we're going to do. Let me save this. This is the 3M Monday model. Oh, I hate it. Maybe that's a good thing. I don't know. Cam Davis at 4 is kind of interesting. All right. Well, listen, we can go through this on Wednesday, live chat, 3 p.m. Eastern time, Rick Run Good YouTube channel. I've got to reconcile my thoughts with the model right now. I'm wishing you the best luck. Go sign up for the splash contest. Apparently it's going to fill pretty quickly because we're crushing it over there. So hat tip to all you guys. I will see you on Wednesday. Good luck.